Imagine waking up and, before you can even brush your teeth, feeling your chest tighten, as if you had slept with a rock instead of a pillow. Hard, right? This is called anxiety. But don't worry, I'm not here to make you worry anymore. Today, you'll find out how small changes in your day can turn that knot in your stomach into a sigh of relief. And no, you don't need to become a monk or memorize complicated mantras. We're going to talk about solutions that fit into your routine, even if you only have 5 minutes and a corner in the living room. Have you ever noticed how, after the age of 60, everything seems to have gotten quieter, but at the same time, your mind doesn't stop? The pressures change, but they keep knocking at the door. A doctor's appointment here, an exam there, that news story on TV that keeps you awake. It's a festival of worries of the kind that only those who have kept a photo album in a shoebox understand. For many, anxiety has become a constant companion, almost like that old battery-powered radio that never turns off completely. But hold on. Recent studies show that 1 in 3 people over the age of 60 feel anxious almost every day. This is more common than losing the lid on an ice cream tub. And the most surprising thing, according to the Brazilian Psychiatric Association, 70% of these people don't even know that what they feel has a name. They think it's just a thing of age. Time to take a deep breath now. What you feel has an explanation and, better yet, there's a way to fix it. Now, imagine that anxiety is like a ball of wool that's all tangled up. The more you try to pull it any which way, the more it gets tangled up. But if you're patient and start unraveling one strand at a time, the ball will give way, the yarn will become smooth, and soon you'll be able to knit that blanket that warms your feet. Small gestures, repeated day after day, make all the difference. Remember the time when the solution to boredom was to chat on the sidewalk or take care of the plants in the backyard? Maybe that's the beginning of an answer. Because it's in the details of everyday life that the key to waking up without tension in your shoulders and going to sleep without having to count sheep lies. That's what we're going to talk about today. Get ready to find comfort in your own rituals without any fancy recipes. Let's take the first step together to unravel this mess. And sometimes we don't even notice how small concerns grow inside our chest. The clock strikes 7 in the morning, but our bodies don't seem to want to get out of bed. That's how it was for Helena, a woman with an easy smile who always loved listening to the birds singing through the window. In recent months, she noticed that her coffee was getting cold in her hands before she could take the first sip. An almost invisible detail. Her hands trembling slightly, a tightness in her chest, her gaze lost in the curtains swaying in the wind. The weather seemed heavier, and the mornings, which used to bring promise, became nothing more than an obstacle to be overcome. Helena had always been very active. She liked to walk early, talk to her neighbors, and attend Mass at the neighborhood chapel. But with retirement approaching and the house becoming quieter, an unexpected emptiness appeared. The silence, which used to be reassuring, became a constant companion. Anxiety, even without a name, took over her thoughts and gave her no respite. The impact was clear. Sleepless nights, that feeling of fatigue that won't go away, and your heart beating faster when doing small tasks, like answering the phone or going to the grocery store. This discomfort has a name: anxiety. In the elderly, it manifests itself in subtle ways, but it can completely change your life. Did you know that, according to recent research, almost 30% of people over 60 report frequent symptoms of anxiety? That's a high number. Most of these people, however, believe that feeling this way is part of getting older, which is simply not true. Does that make sense to you? How many times have you heard someone say that it's normal to become more apprehensive as you get older? But is there really no alternative? Believing that anxiety is simply part of the routine after a certain age is a common but mistaken belief. Here's something to think about. Isn't there a lighter way to get through these days? When Helena remembered the afternoons when the neighborhood would get together to play cards, It was impossible not to laugh at the exaggerated stories of Mr. Mario, always ready to blatantly bluff. The smell of freshly brewed coffee, the loud laughter, the comfort of being among friends. How long has it been since you felt that warmth in your chest? A pause to breathe. What has really changed? And more importantly, what can still change? Have you ever heard that story that, over time, people simply get used to living alone, and that because of that, loneliness stops bothering them? It may seem like a comfort, but in practice, it is not quite like that. Social isolation, despite seeming like a natural adaptation, can be as harmful as a lack of movement for a plant. A simple fact: elderly people who live with someone on a daily basis have levels of emotional well-being up to 50% higher than those who spend most of their time alone. Think about Elisa, who only began to feel lighter when she exchanged small talk and plant seedlings with her neighbors. It was from this contact that she found the strength to flourish again. Many are surprised to discover that another very common belief is that, after a certain age, it is too late to change habits or create new routines. This idea limits and even paralyzes. The brain has something called neuroplasticity, which, in simple terms, is the ability to learn new things at any stage of life, as if it were a garden that can still receive seeds and flourish. Just imagine, Francisco, who always thought he didn't like plants, decided to try taking care of a fern and discovered a new pleasure, feeling more energetic and connected to the present. No matter your age, it is still possible to cultivate new things. Contrary to popular belief, it doesn't take big changes to feel a difference. Sometimes, all you need to do is put a pot on the windowsill, water it every day, and watch it grow. Small gestures renew the environment and your mood, like when we open the windows after rainy days and fresh air fills the house. Have you ever tried changing a simple habit in your routine? Or perhaps you had the courage to plant a seed, literally or not, and notice the difference it made? If you want, share your experience in the comments. What was the small gesture that changed your day? Or, if you haven't tried it yet, what would you like to try? Take the opportunity to subscribe to the channel and leave a like, so you can receive other content that can inspire new paths to well-being. Take a deep breath now. Feel the air enter, as if it were the freshness of a freshly watered garden. In the next section, we will talk about practical solutions and possible steps to transform your daily life. After all, everyone deserves to see their own life blossom, even if it starts with a simple vase on the windowsill. Amidst this invitation to make small changes, you might ask yourself, but in practice, what can I do to make the day less burdensome? A simple yet powerful solution starts early in the morning. What if you tried to create a conscious breathing ritual as soon as you wake up? Sitting on the edge of your bed, inhale through your nose for a count of 4. Hold the air for 3 seconds and slowly exhale through your mouth for a count of 4 again. Repeat this 5 times. This simple gesture calms your heartbeat, clears your mind, and, as a bonus, helps to eliminate that tight feeling in your chest. For those who feel anxiety taking over early in the morning, this ritual can be a real daily restart. Here's a tip. Put a note on your nightstand or a reminder on your cell phone so you don't forget. Small reminders have surprising effects. Contrary to what many people imagine, moving your body doesn't have to mean going to the gym or doing hard work. Many people have discovered that short walks, even indoors, bring real benefits. While preparing breakfast, for example, take the opportunity to walk down the hallway, make circles with your arms, or even go up and down a few steps, if there is a safe staircase at home. The secret is in consistency, not in intensity. The body gains mobility, the mind is distracted from repetitive thoughts, and, in the end, that feeling of paralysis gives way to a calm energy, almost like the sun breaking through the clouds. If you prefer, put on some light music to accompany you. It serves as a soundtrack and encouragement. Now, a mini recipe that combines care and pleasure. Relaxing chamomile tea with passion fruit. Add 1 tablespoon of dried chamomile flowers and 1 tablespoon of fresh passion fruit pulp to 300 ml of hot water, not boiling. Let it infuse for 8 minutes, strain, and sweeten to taste. Drink slowly, feeling the aroma and heat. The calming effect is almost immediate. If you have tried something similar or have your own recipe for well-being, share it in the comments. Exchanging experiences is like planting new seeds in the garden of life. In this climate of renewal, the story of Carlos emerges, who always felt tight in the chest at dusk. After trying the breathing ritual, he was surprised by a slight freshness in his face and an unexpected calm. Little by little, he noticed his body was less tense, as if it were learning to blossom again. Adapting may seem strange, but who would have thought that a new habit could be easier than programming the TV remote control? In addition to morning rituals and short walks, another practical solution to alleviate anxiety and loneliness is to create a gratitude journal. Writing down 3 small things you were grateful for during the day each night may seem simple, but repeating this habit changes the way your brain perceives everyday moments. The secret is to train yourself to see what is good, even on the quietest days. Another effective practice is contact with plants, even if it is just a pot on the windowsill. Caring for a pot of basil, for example, brings a sense of light responsibility and invigorates the soul. The fresh smell of the leaves, the vibrant green, all of this connects us to the present. And for those who enjoy learning, growing an aromatic herb can be a bridge to new recipes and aromas in the kitchen. Now, a second mini recipe to incorporate into your routine. Try preparing a calming infusion with basil leaves and orange peels. Boil a cup of water, add 3 fresh basil leaves and a small piece of well-washed orange peel. Let it sit for 5 minutes, strain and drink while still warm. The citrus aroma mixed with the freshness of basil calms the mind and warms the heart, especially before bed. Back to our friend Carlos. After adopting the morning ritual and the calming tea, he decided to start a gratitude journal. Within a few weeks, he noticed that he was sleeping better and even laughing more on the phone with his daughter. One night, when he wrote that he was grateful for the smell of basil and the loving phone call, he felt a calm joy in his chest, that feeling of being present and whole. The secret, he realized, was not to eliminate loneliness, but to transform it into time for self-care. Of course, there are obstacles: forgetting to write in the journal, feeling discouraged, or thinking that small actions don't make a difference. In these moments, the tip is to remember the old advice: little by little, the chicken fills its crop. Or, as our grandmothers used to say between one coffee and the next, there is no need to rush, just be consistent. These strategies, breathing, walking, tea, and gratitude, renew the body and mind. Carlos is proof of this: more energetic, lighter, and with a new sparkle in his eyes. How about trying it out? Subscribe, turn on notifications, and share with anyone who needs a little push. This week's challenge is simple. Write down 3 reasons to be grateful for 5 days and prepare a basil and orange infusion. Soon, we'll bring you new ways to cultivate well-being. Now, take a deep breath, release it slowly, and remember, small gestures, day after day, are like seeds, always ready to bloom.